Hi there, good morning and welcome. You're watching Chart Busters, a show where we highlight the buzzing stocks of the day, get you expert advice, and what a day it is. For the record books, Nigel, we've hit a fresh record high on the Nifty.
Well, that's right, Mangalam. What a day. We went to around the 11,760 odd. We have not really crashed from there, still holding well in the green. So that's pretty good news as well. In the next half hour odd, as Mangalam said, we'll be getting you a market call as well as we'll pull in a couple of managements. But for the time being, let's talk about an IPO. That of Metropolis Healthcare. That's the third largest diagnostic company in India by revenue. Now, it opens up for subscription today. And we have with us Ameera Shah, the MD of the company, who joins us. Thanks so much for speaking to us, Ameera. Well, Metropolis is looking to raise roughly around 1,200 crores odd via the OFS route. How much will the promoters raise and how will these funds be used?
Approximately 13 lakh odd shares are being sold in the OFS, of which about 6 point something lakh are being sold by the promoter group and 7 point something by Carlyle. As it's an OFS, obviously nothing will come into the company, but what we are raising will actually go towards retiring some of the debt that we have at a private holdco level.
Talk about the debt. If you could tell us a little more about the debt on the holding company and how much is it? How much will you be retiring after this IPO?
I had taken this debt in 2015 because I had bought over shares from Warburg Pincus at that point of time because we wanted to give Warburg an exit and therefore I had also acquired the shares from them. So I had taken debt from KKR at the time to buy out the shares from Warburg, which I landed up refinancing with KKR in the recent past, about a year ago. And now the idea is to pay down at least most of that debt, which is what the proceeds of the OFS will go towards.
Well, Carlyle is exiting partial stake. How much are they selling and what is the plan then in terms of the remaining stake that they have in the company? Importantly, does Carlyle, in fact, does Metropolis have a buyout option?
No. Carlyle today has about 14 to 15 lakh shares and they are looking to sell about 7.5. So I think they're exiting almost 50% of their stake, the number of shares in the company. As you know, they will be in the statutory lock-in for 1 year. Obviously, whether they choose to sell after that or not is up to them. But there is no right to buy out Carlyle share by Metropolis.
Okay, fair point there. So let's talk about Metropolis itself. What are the funding needs out there for the Metropolis company?
At this point of time, actually, we don't require funding in Metropolis because, as you know, we generate a reasonable amount of cash, not only for our internal accruals and making sure that we have enough capital for some amount of, sort of investments, maintenance, capex. Because otherwise, we don't require large capex at this point. We've also been using our internal cash flows to do small acquisitions as well. So at this point, primary capital not required, but of course, moving forward, in case we do any large acquisition or any large deal, then of course we would require, potentially require capital, which either could be taken as debt on the balance sheet or could be raised in the public markets, or we could use stock as currency as well.
Well, what's the prospect in terms of diagnostics considering hyper competition?
Actually, we are not seeing hyper competition, to be honest. I mean, I think every market has competition. But, the industry actually is, the Frost & Sullivan report says the industry is growing at 15%. Metropolis is, of course, not only growing faster than the industry, but also what we see of the competition. In 18-19, our growth, if you see the 9-month numbers, has been 18% plus. And, we're quite comfortable with the growth rate that we're at currently. So I think despite the competition, I think we have found a place, a niche and a position for ourselves where people are willing to pay for the quality of services and are willing to choose us, because they realize that the quality and the trust that they've built with us is very, very high. We've seen there seems to be a sort of a little bit of a fallacy that there has been a lot of private equity money that's come into this market. Actually, there hasn't. There's been only about 5 or 6 deals that have happened in the last 6, 7, 8 years, which is not a very significant amount. And a lot of these, some of these companies that came in from a pure pathology players, have try to do a deep discounting model, and therefore some of them are actually not even managing to break even after many years of operations. And you also find some of these businesses up for sale. Also, the private equity guys have invested into predominantly radiology players, integrated diagnostic centers, which are radiology plus pathology, which again is a different business model than what we do.
All right, but have we seen a slowdown in diagnostics? Dr. Lal's has not been able to take a price hike. Volume growth has fallen for Thyrocare and Dr. Lal's. In that, what would you say?
I don't want to comment on any individual companies, but at the end of the day, the industry is obviously made of much larger, of many, many more players. I think we haven't seen obviously the industry growing at 25-30%, but frankly we didn't see the industry growing at any point at 25-30%. There were individual companies like ours or like Lal's who at some point in some years grew faster, and that was really a matter of where there was opportunity and where the expansion could happen. I think where some people have matured or gotten penetrated a lot in the markets, maybe the growth is slowing down for some people. But for us, actually, for the 5 cities that we have a B2C business in and that we are really growing, I think these are exciting times for us, and we believe that there's still a lot to build and a lot of market share to gain.
Okay, all right, Ameera. Final question then before we let you go. The company has reported a revenue growth of approximately 18%, margins of around 26 to around 27%. Now, that's more or less in line with already the listed peer, that's Dr. Lal's. What's your sense in terms of growth going ahead?
Obviously, I can't give any forward-looking numbers at this point, but I can just tell you that we are quite comfortable at the current growth rates that we have, the current margins that we have, and we do believe that there is still a great opportunity for Metropolis to continue to expand in these 5 focus cities, 5 major cities of Bombay and Chennai and cities like that, where we feel that we are nowhere close to the market share that we believe that we could build. So we definitely feel that is one opportunity. And then I say the second is the 8 seeding markets that we feel that we still have a lot of growth potential in. So the network that we've built, going from 300 centers to about 1,600 front-end branded exclusive retail centers of Metropolis, that building has happened only in the last 2 years. Therefore, the revenues through these centers are still at a lower stage, and we believe can potentially be much more in these centers themselves. So overall, we feel we have the right levers for growth and feel quite comfortable at the numbers that we are at currently.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Ameera. Wish you good luck for the business as well as your debut on the Lal Street. With that, we'll step into a break with the news that the IT stocks, they're doing fairly well actually. HCL Tech, that one should come for you. That one's moved to the high point of the day. Along with that, we have Infosys as well, which has recovered from the lows. So keep an eye out on the IT pack. Remember, in the early morning trade, it was the IT pack which was dragging the indices, and now we're seeing some movement out there. Apart from that, a lot of movement coming by in a lot of these metal stocks as well. Tata Steel, for instance, at the high point of the day.